Ah, welcome back to another Coffee and a Chat. Had something caught in my throat there for a minute. That's okay. I got it covered. Just a moment here. Yeah, much better. Coffee and chocolate, they fix everything. Oh, today is the perfect Coffee and a Chat day. It is cold and drizzly outside, toasty and warm inside. Marvin got a nice fire going in the wood stove. Right now, the dogs are quietly laying in front of it, taking a nap. We'll see if that holds. All the house guests, the last of them left today. I'm a little sad because they're all my kids. They're kids and grandkids, not all of them. Oh, my word. We've got 8 kids, 22 grandkids, and 1 great-grandchild. Our house could handle it. It would be very full of life, but it's probably good when they just come in small groups at a time. But the last 2 months, there's been somebody here every day. And so the last 2 left here just a little bit ago, and they're headed off to catch a plane that keeps changing its schedule because the weather is so crazy today. So hopefully everything, well, no, not even now. I don't even have to say hopefully because I know God's going to work it out all perfect. But it's a great day to just snuggle in. I'd like to sit in, just curl up with a good book today. Don't think it's going to happen, but it's a nice thought. And now Marvin and I have to try to figure out how did we do life before everybody came over? We'll figure it out. The dogs are going to have to learn to go back to house rules that are in force. They have been so spoiled. One of them tried to go. I tried to go with the last group that left. Oh yeah, don't leave me behind. But whatever. Okay, and the coffee is, I don't know, it just tastes almost extra good today. So in the last many weeks, I had a lot of conversations with different people that are going through different things in life. And something that kind of comes up maybe more than once is people that are struggling with the idea that maybe they have a purpose in life. And so I just kind of want to talk to you this morning or this afternoon. I guess it's already afternoon yet. We're a little slow on the go today because we were having people leave. So this afternoon, which is where it is for me right now as I'm recording this, I just wanted to kind of talk with you for a minute and see, do you feel that way sometimes, that you don't really know if there's a real, general purpose? I mean, there's things that you do in life. Yeah, if you're a mom, you take care of the kids. If you got a job, you do the work. Maybe you have a role to play in life, but an actual purpose that is unique to you. You see, I find, and I felt this way myself. I find people that it's kind of like, well, I kind of am here to just kind of take up a little bit of space for a little bit of time, and then, my life will come to an end and I'll go on and whatever. And the idea that, because we talked about how intentional God is the other day. So the idea that when I was born, it was on purpose, that I came into existence as part of God's plan, that God was intentional about putting me on this earth. And it wasn't just to take up space. So that's true for you. Do you know that? I know some of you do. Oh yeah, you do. And you're seeking what it is God wants you to do. And, and that's an exciting thing in life. But a lot of you don't know that. You don't realize that you, specifically you, have a part in all that God's doing. And it's a part that is for you. When we read through the Bible and we see different people that were definitely born for a purpose, called for a purpose, and they had a job to do that was assigned for them. I mean, Moses was born to be the one to take the children of Israel out of slavery and take them in Egypt and take them to the promised land. We see that John the Baptist was born to be the forerunner of Christ, that Elijah and Elisha were born to be great prophets of God, that Samuel was born to not only be a prophet, but to grow up in the priesthood. We see that Samson was born to be a judge and a deliverer of Israel through a supernatural strength that God gave him. We see that Mary was called and born for the purpose to birth the Messiah into this world. We know that Jesus' purpose was to come and to take on our sin while remaining sinless himself, and to pay the price through death on the cross. And not just the death, but that 3 days later, as it was prophesied in the Old Testament, that it was his destiny to come up out of that grave, to raise from the dead, with more than 500 people witnessing that he was indeed, they knew he'd been dead, and now he was indeed alive. And he is, of course, but he's God, but his destiny on this earth was to be our Savior. So we see different people in the Bible, and we can go, yeah, that was their destiny. Noah was destined to build the ark and to be, lead the remnant of repopulating the earth. Adam and Eve were destined to be the first man and woman. We see that, yeah, they had a destiny, but do you realize that you didn't just happen to come into this world, but you were created to come into this world, to exist for a purpose. And it is a purpose that is yours. It's not anybody else's. It is a calling that is yours, nobody else's. And when we can begin to grab hold of that God was intentional about creating us and bringing us into existence and putting us here, when we can really grasp hold of that, then we can go, okay, well then what is that destiny? What is that purpose? What is that calling? What is it? Why am I here, Lord? What do you want me to do? And we can begin to ask him and see what it is he has to say to us, and then walk in obedience, because he doesn't just say, let's just take Moses, when he said, okay, you're here to deliver my people and to take them to the promised land. Now go do it. Get along now, go figure it out, and, get them from point A to point B, and I'll meet you over there. It's not what he did. He told Moses, oh, you're gonna come up to resistance. Pharaoh is not you're gonna go tell him to let my people go, but he is not gonna want to let them go. So here's what I want you to do when he gets there. I want you to throw that staff down, and it'll turn into a snake. And when you take hold of its tail, it'll become a staff again in your hand. I want you to put that staff out over the Nile, and it will turn to blood. Here's what you're supposed to do. And he's still going to resist until I get to the 10th thing. And then he will surely let you go, which he did. But then once he's let you go, he's going to change his mind and want to pursue you. God walked Moses through that. When they got to the desert and there was no water and they were thirsty, the Lord, showed him, this rock, and God used, Moses in obedience to him to bring water out of that rock that came gushing out to give water to all the people and all the cattle and livestock that was with them. When there was no food to harvest, in the desert, you don't go around and forage much in the way of food. But God had that covered. He sent food from heaven, called it manna. And he told them, here's how much each one of you needs to eat of this, because he had their health in mind. And there's 6 days that you're going to gather it. But on that 6th day, you need to gather a double portion and just eat half that day, and the other half is for the Sabbath day. God provided for everything they needed. He made sure that their clothes never wore out. And he, even before they left Egypt, he had them go to all their neighbors and gather gold and silver and precious stones. And, there was a list of things, and he laid it on the hearts of the Egyptians to give them those items. But it wasn't for them. It wasn't for them to build their houses out of and do things. It was to build a house for God, to build the tabernacle. And when they got to that point, then God was like, okay, that stuff that I had you bring, now we're going to use it. Everything has a purpose and a reason. And every single one of those people that made that journey, even though we may not know, obviously, the names of every single one of them, we know about some of them because they did good things, and we know about some of them because they didn't do good things. They were disobedient to God. But even the ones that we don't even know their names, we're not even aware of them as an individual that was there, but yet they had a purpose in why they were there. There was ways God used them and needed them and included them. And, you think about it, if all of that was to be written down, how would you couldn't even, who could ever read all those stories? I mean, to go through all the thousands of years of history that would be recorded with all those details for every person to be noticed. Some of us, we weren't destined to be the famous person that was in front of everybody. And I'll tell you the truth, because I've known a lot of famous people. Yeah, you don't want to be a famous person. That comes at a price. It's a lot nicer to be one of the ones that kind of fades into the background, that's behind the scenes. It's a nice place to be. Doesn't matter at all. There is a price to come with people knowing who you are. Ask anybody that's ever been in that position, and they will tell you that that is absolutely true. So I just want to encourage you today that if you maybe feel like you're just another Joe, just another Jane, that you aren't anything special, I want to tell you and guarantee you that that's not true. You are somebody special. You are somebody who matters, and you are an important part of what God's doing. And if you want to know what that is, you ask him. He'll answer you, he'll show you, and he'll show you how to be whoever it is he's called you to be, how to do whatever it is he's called you to do, okay? But you got to be obedient to him. What good is it, if I tell you that, I've made you the guest of honor at this banquet that I'm going to be throwing, and it's just down the street from where you live. In fact, I'll even send a car to pick you up, to bring you there and have your grand entrance. But you say, well, I don't know, I kind of got some other things. And you don't even bother to get ready and to go. And you miss out on everything that was set up for you for that night, because all you had to do was be there, but you weren't willing. I know there's been times that all I had to do was be there. But because I was distracted by things in life, because I wasn't being obedient to God or whatever, there are things I missed. I know that's true, but I've told you before, he's not a God of second chances. He's a God of do-overs, and God has given me do-overs in life. And it gave me the opportunity to figure it out. And I'll tell you, walking in obedience to him beats everything else. And being where he wants me to be, doing what he created me to do, it's the ultimate. It really, really, truly is. And so there's nothing special about me. I guarantee you there is nothing special about me. But I got a purpose. And you have a purpose. You have a calling. There's something. Maybe it's, different people that you're to be their friends. Because it's not like it's just this one thing and that's it. He takes us through seasons. For a season, he used me as a Christian counselor and ministered to a lot of people in that season through the ministry he gave me there. He even had me be a bank teller at one time. And he used me as a bank teller to bear fruit for his kingdom. He's used me, and it's to take care of people I knew that were ill and didn't have anybody to be there. I took care of my mother-in-law till she died. I took care of both my parents till they died. And then there's other people too. And I don't know. He may bring people to me yet. I don't know. I'm getting kind of old to be doing it, but if he were to bring somebody else and say, you need to take care of them for the days they've got left, I'd do it. So it's just that it's not always the same thing, or there's just this one thing. I mean, I suppose there might be people that were just born for the one thing, but I think that it's usually more than that. God has a way of making better use of his time, of the time we have. Time doesn't really exist for him, I don't think. He's not constrained by it. We're limited, with time. God's not. But do you know what your purpose is? Do you know what your call is? Do you know what God wants to do in you and through you? Because if not, just ask him and listen, and then follow his guidance. Be obedient to him. And as you walk in what God has called you to walk in, I promise you this: you will have the most satisfaction and the greatest joy in that than anything else you could do. Because it's where you belong. It's the piece in the puzzle that your puzzle piece fits in. It's where you fit. You were created to be in that spot. Everything else is going to be a little uncomfortable because it just doesn't quite fit right. But when you drop into that puzzle that God is putting together with all our lives, and you fall into that place where you fit, yeah, that's a good place to be. It works. Okay, I hope you guys are having a great day today. And if you're having, because I know there's a lot of storms and stuff going on around the U.S. anyway, but if where you're at, maybe you're having one of them rainy, drizzly days and you're stuck indoors when you wanted to be outdoors, well, why don't you find the good book and curl up with it for a while to see what God has to share with you, because he'll give you that opportunity. All right. I love you guys, and I'm going to go finish my cup of coffee because it is pretty delicious today, and I will talk to you again tomorrow. All right. I love you guys. Bye.